Did Katakuri really lose to Luffy? Almost 3 years later, fans still debate whether Luffy actually beat Katakuri. For example, while most people would agree Luffy beat him, some fans argue that Katakuri actually let him win. And while the ambiguity in this ending makes for great discussion, it's about time fans came to some kind of consensus. That's why, in this discussion, I'm going to explain why Katakuri completely lost to Luffy. I've also invited StudioAlex to help out by offering his take on the fight. Before we get started, make sure to comment with your thoughts on Luffy vs Katakuri. I'll pick my favorite and share it as comment of the week in the next video. This week's comment comes from Matthew Leader. Still not sure I quite get it, but I always love a good Shakespeare reference. Also, in case you missed it, we are currently running the 1000 subscriber challenge. If we can reach 1000 subscribers by the end of March 31st, I'll run a community poll to decide the best Straw Hats, discuss the results in a special video, and invite other creators to help me out. So make sure to help by liking and commenting on every video, sharing the channel with friends and new viewers, and of course, subscribing to the channel for weekly One Piece and Dr. Stone videos. But with that out of the way, let's start by addressing the common arguments against Luffy winning the fight. Generally speaking, these claims stem from the idea that the Katakuri fight is very different from most fights in One Piece. It also stems from sweaty dorks on the internet constantly needing something to complain about, but we'll save that one for another time. In the final fight of every arc, Luffy comes out as the clear victor. Nobody debates the Lucci fight, which was a fairly even matchup at the time, because Lucci gave it everything he had and still lost. Even after the Doflamingo fight, where Luffy needed a break after his first use of Gear 4th, it was very clear that he overpowered Doflamingo. But it's when we get to Whole Cake that things become much less clear. The obvious example is the Cracker fight. At the time, Luffy used Nami's help to win the fight. But even though the odds were in Cracker's favor, it's unclear whether Luffy could have found a way to win on his own. And it's this kind of ambiguity that makes some fans feel as though Luffy didn't truly defeat Katakuri. These fans essentially take issue with the outcome of that fight because Luffy didn't clearly overpower Katakuri. For example, the most common complaint is that Luffy only won because Katakuri damaged himself. Katakuri went out of his way to deal major damage to his own body, essentially giving himself a handicap and letting Luffy win the fight. But this claim completely ignores the outside influence of Flampe. Remember, it was Flampe who caused Luffy to lose concentration and let Katakuri land a blow. She significantly increased his chances of landing that blow, which is why Katakuri decided to damage himself and make up for the unfair advantage. The whole point of Katakuri doing that was so he could have a fair and even match against Luffy, which comes up again in another common complaint. This one being that Katakuri let Luffy win by allowing him to use Snake Man. And this is actually pretty reasonable considering he had previously stopped Luffy from using Gear 4th. He even says, "Why should I sit here and let you transform?" Which definitely shook anime fans everywhere who had come to accept that as some sort of unspoken rule. But in this case, Katakuri wanted the challenge. If he didn't let Luffy transform, then he wouldn't be beating Luffy at full power. Again, he wanted a fair and even match where there wouldn't be any doubts. Despite that, fans still have their doubts about the ending. Because after all that, Katakuri manages to stand up only to let himself fall back down. And it's this scene that mostly causes people to think that Luffy didn't actually win the fight. The reasoning being that Katakuri clearly had some fight left in him but decided to let Luffy win. And while it's true that Katakuri technically gave in, it's more accurate to say that he accepted defeat. As Oda clearly stated early in the story, fights between pirates are fights between their beliefs. Whichever pirate has their beliefs shattered is the one to lose. And that was Katakuri's goal throughout this fight. But before I get ahead of myself, let's switch gears. No? Nobody? Alright, well, without further ado, here's Alex to explain why Katakuri absolutely lost to Luffy.
In order to understand why Luffy undisputedly won the fight against Katakuri, I think it would be helpful to acknowledge both the actual text of the story as well as the symbolic meaning of what this fight represents. Something to consider about Luffy vs Katakuri is how Oda intentionally made it Luffy's most fair and even battle in the New World, perhaps even in the entire series. Both combatants have similar powers, and I mean the fight is literally set in the mirror world. The fight begins with Katakuri being a better version of Luffy. His powers are better, his observation haki is more advanced, and his bounty is higher. So why did Oda write it this way? Whole Cake Island takes place at a pivotal moment in the story. We're no longer fighting warlords or small-time pirates. We are fighting Yonko. Luffy has to rise to Katakuri's level in order to be a captain worthy of leading the Straw Hat Pirates. If he can't be the type of person who will rise to the level of a Yonko first commander this late in the game, it's too late for him anyways. Taking an even broader look at the story of One Piece, what does it mean to be Pirate King? We see repeatedly throughout the manga that this is a story about dreams, and the willpower it takes to see those dreams achieved, which is why the Pirate King is the embodiment of this philosophy. It's the one person whose will can never be stopped. This is symbolically tied to the D-Clan, and the reason why Teach is the only actual other candidate for Pirate King at the moment. This is also why Oda ended the fight in the way he did. Luffy vs Katakuri was never a battle of strength, it's a battle of wills. Katakuri even realizes this, which is why he acknowledges Luffy by saying, "I no longer assume you're inferior to me." This is also symbolically represented by Katakuri taking off his Charlotte jacket. He's no longer a representative of Big Mom. This is a match between two men, which is why nobody is allowed to interfere. When Flampe allows Katakuri to get a free hit on Luffy, he inflicts the exact same wound on himself. If Luffy is at a disadvantage, Katakuri is going to be at the same disadvantage. If you're gonna laugh at him, laugh at me too. To say that Luffy did not beat Katakuri betrays the entire point of the fight. Just for reference, it takes Luffy 8 chapters to beat Doflamingo, 10 chapters to beat Rob Lucci, and it takes 18 chapters to beat Katakuri. This is the ultimate test of his will, and it's why at the end of the fight, Katakuri realizes that no matter what, no matter how many times he gets hit, how many times he bleeds, how many times he falls down, he will never stay down. In the end, when Katakuri sees how far Luffy can see into the future, he realizes that Luffy's will never be stopped. That's why Luffy wins. Katakuri and Luffy's ambitions are on 2 totally different levels. One just wants to protect his homeland, while the other one wants to be Pirate King. Sure, you could look at who got more hits in, who had the greater feats of durability, or who had the better buildup. They may be equal in strength by the end, but Katakuri knows that he could never defeat Luffy, because One Piece is a story about will and dreams, which Luffy is the complete embodiment of. So Katakuri falls on his back, acknowledging his first ever true loss.
And there you have it. This is why the fight was an absolute loss for Katakuri. His goal in the fight was to crush Luffy, to see whether Luffy's beliefs could be crushed, and it couldn't be done. No matter how many times Katakuri knocked him down, Luffy was gonna get back up. So Katakuri admits defeat as soon as he realizes that those beliefs can't be crushed. And anyone that claims otherwise completely misses the point of the fight. But even then, for the sake of argument, let's say Katakuri kept fighting. No matter how many times he got hit, Luffy was going to win. His incredible resolve to keep fighting would eventually carry him to victory. In fact, this is exactly what we saw in Alabasta. Luffy should have been buried under the desert after his first round with Crocodile, but he kept getting back up. And it's the same story in Wano. Luffy confronts Kaido, is taken out in one blow, but comes back even stronger. No matter how much stronger his enemies may be, Luffy always finds a way to persevere. And Katakuri got a first-hand experience of this resilience in his fight with Luffy. By all means, Luffy should have lost. Katakuri had better haki and better mastery of his devil fruit, but somehow Luffy kept getting up. Somehow, Luffy transcended himself and managed to use Katakuri's own technique against him. And of course, there is a lot of uncertainty in this fight. Nobody knows exactly how things might have played out if Katakuri had decided to keep fighting. But one thing that's certain is that Luffy wouldn't back down. And that is why Katakuri completely lost the fight. And that's it for this discussion. Make sure to thank Alex in the comments and by checking out his channel. Remember to help reach the 1,000 subscriber challenge by liking this video, commenting with your thoughts, sharing this video and others as much as you can, and subscribing for weekly One Piece and Dr. Stone videos. Thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.